Hey guys, so as you might have seen on Wowhead, we are getting a ton of new mounts in patch 8.2, so Matt asked me to make a guide for you guys because they want to make sure that you know how to get all of them. Now in case you don't know who I am, I'm LeystTV and you can find me on YouTube and Twitter. But anyways, we have about 30 mounts to cover, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Let's kick off the video with the new mounts you'll be able to get in Makigon. First we have the Makigon. At first glance it might seem a bit plain and dull, but it's actually one of the more interesting mounts in patch 8.2. You'll be able to customize the mount with different paint jobs that you can obtain in Makigon, but for now it's pretty limited since you can only change the colors on the mounts, but I hope that they will add a proper customization option in the future, such as a color wheel or something along those lines. But yeah, until then we have to settle for the 8 colors we have. Now a Wowhead user has been so kind to post 6 out of 7 locations. Unfortunately we still don't have the 7th location, but you will get the 8th one once you collect all 7 colors. So let's go ahead and see where the 6 locations are and how you can obtain them. So first up we have the big old bronze, and this color is obtained by killing Rumble Rock inside of a cave in the 2D Shallows. Next we have the Makigon Gold, a beautiful golden color that you can get by killing the armor Vault Bot. You will find the bot patrolling, but you will have to be careful because he is immune to damage, and the only way you can kill him is by kiting him to the magnetic field at Bondo's scrapyard. Now the third color is a bit easier to obtain. To get the lemonade steel, you simply have to kill the Scrap King who is located in the heaps. Moving on we have the Overload Orange. You can only obtain it when the 8 from Noticeal quest is available. To do so, you will have to click on some small mushrooms till they become mushroom people, then use the item that you got from the quest and eventually the Fungarian Rare will spawn. The next one, the Felmint Green, is an interesting one as well. Similar to the Vaultbot, the Crazed Truck is neutral to begin with, so you will have to get his attention by covering yourself in the same color that he is smashing, which is pretty funny. Now this means that you will have to make an extra stop at Bondo's yard to get the color and then walk all the way back to the Tinted Cave in Sparkweaver Point. Finally we have the Fireball Red, which can drop from any chest on the Makigon Isle, so this one should be pretty easy. Now the last color is the Copper Trim, and this is the one we're missing, so if anyone knows where it's located, please share it with the rest of us in the comments below. So if you manage to get all 7 colors, you will complete an achievement called Available in 8 colors and be rewarded with the 8th and final one, the Battletorn Blue. It's probably the coolest one of the 8, and it even has a pink gnome looking decoration on the side. Next we have the shiny Makigon Peacekeeper mount that drops inside of the new Makigon dungeon. This is a massive robot spider, and some of you might even notice that it's very similar to the spiders we had back in Ulduar. It's a gorgeous mount and I love how much effort they put into these models. The attention to detail is incredible with the different cogs moving around, and even the idle animations are looking good. The Scrapforge Mecha Spider is the exact same model but with a slightly different color, and one of the things you will notice is that a lot of these mounts are actually the exact same models but with a different skin. Now this mount is one that you build yourself through a quest line, but be aware that it can take you some time to complete because you can only do one quest line per day. Moving on, we have the less polished version of the Mecha Spider called the Rusty Mechanocrawler. Personally, I kinda like this rustic look, and the mount is listed to drop on Makigon, but the only confirmed rare so far is the Arcanoid Harvest. Next is the Mechanocycle Model W, and yes, it's a shiny wheel. It's a pretty cool mount that you get by completing the Makigon achievement. This achievement might take you some time because you will have to complete almost every single activity on Makigon. This includes collecting every single paint color for the Mechanocat that we just covered, collect 25 different blueprints, and finish the story content available on Makigon. However, if you prefer a rustier version, you can get the Junkheap Drifter, and this one drops from a rare called Rust Feather. And one of the things that I like about this model is the attention to detail with the rotating cogs, the different sparkling effects, and the mount special that rotates you 360 degrees. I love what they did with the mount. It actually feels unique, and it's not a model we've seen in the game before, so it feels fresh and new. Now the first flying mount on the list is the aerial unit R20X, and it will drop from King Makigon, the final boss of the new Operation Makigon dungeon. Once again, Blizzard did a great job with this model, and I like how the blue electricity is all over the place, and the mount special is pretty awesome as well. It will fly up and shoot out a laser beam gun below the mount, which looks pretty sweet. But as with all other dungeon mounts, it might take you some time to get, because first of all, the dungeon is pretty big, and second of all, it has a pretty low drop chance. However, if you prefer a rustier version, you can get the Rust Bowl Resistor. It is a reputation mount, therefore it's a bit easier to get. You just have to reach Exalted with the Rust Bowl Resistant, which is a new faction in patch 8.2. Now the pleasure of owning this mount is not gonna come cheap, because you have to pay 500,000 gold, which is quite expensive. Just keep in mind that this is the PTR, so everything is subject to change, but if it stays the same, you can always check out Gumdrop's videos on the Method channel to get some tips and tricks on how to make enough gold. Now let's move on to the Nazjatar mounts and start with a mount that we saw at BlizzCon 2018. And yes, you've guessed it, I'm of course referring to the sidewalking crab mount that everybody in the crowd got excited about. It's a pretty cool looking mount that they decided to call the Snapback Scuttler. If you look at the mount, it has a chest on top of it which you sit on, and when you use the mount special, it will crawl down into the ground and only the chest will be visible, which is pretty cool. Now if you wonder how to get it, it's listed in the mount journal as a mount that you can obtain in Nazjatar, and this could mean one of two things: either it will be a world drop, or that they will simply add a new source to it later on. Anyways, let's move on to the Ashari Blood trait. So this mount comes from the Glory of the Eternal Raider, which is the new meta achievement from the upcoming raid in patch 8.2. Now even though it's a pretty cool looking mount, I'm not gonna lie, I do prefer one of the other colors, such as the red one on the Unshackled Wave Ray. The red ray is a horde only mount, and you can buy it from the Unshackled faction when you reach Exalted, and it will cost you 250 prismatic mana pearls, and you get these pearls by doing world quests and other activities on Nazjatar, so it's probably gonna take you a few weeks to get. Now the Alliance version of this mount is called the Ankoan Wave Ray, and as long as you're Exalted, you can buy this mount from the new Ankoan faction in Nazjatar. Personally, I like how the blue colors match the golden ones, so it looks really good. However, if you prefer a matte black color, you can get the Silent Glider, which is the last color variation for this model. It's quite daunting and it will be perfect for a rogue transmog set. This mount drops from Soundless in Nazjatar, which is most likely gonna be a rare spawn somewhere in the zone. Moving on, we have 3 aquatic looking snapdragons, so let's start with the Deep Coral Snapdragon. Now to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big fan of this model, but if you're into Naga-like lizards, this might be the mount for you, and you get it by completing a questline in Nazjatar. Now the next mount, the Snapdragon Kelp Stalker, is also obtained through a questline, so these two shouldn't be too hard to get. The last one of the 3, the Royal Snapdragon, looks way nicer with its golden armor, and I bet a lot of you guys can make some cool transmogs matching this mount. So if you want to get this one, it's listed as a zone drop in Nazjatar. So the last 3 mounts we have in Nazjatar are 3 incredible looking seahorses. The attention to detail on these mounts are absolutely amazing, and they are by far the best looking seahorse mounts that we've ever had in the game, especially if you look at the old one from Vashir. So first we have the Inkscale Deepseeker, and you can buy this one for 150 Nazjatar battle commendations, which is a new world PvP currency in Nazjatar. Now the way you get this new currency is by participating in the new PvP event on Nazjatar. You will have to control 5 different control points, and your aim is to reach 1000 points before the other faction. However, if no one manages to reach 1000 points within 45 minutes, the faction with the most points wins. But let's move on to the second seahorse named Fabius. This mount drops from a rare with the same name as the mount, so I wouldn't be surprised if it looks exactly like the mount. At the moment, I don't know the exact location of this rare, but please feel free to comment below if you come across it. The final seahorse mount on this list is the Crimson Tystallion, and sadly we don't have a source for it yet, but I will make sure to update you guys as soon as we hear anything new. Now before we move on to the next category, I gotta give Blizzard some credit for these mounts, and I don't know if I dare to say it, but I think that these seahorses are the best looking water mounts in the game ever. Now let's move on to the profession mounts. It's gonna be a quick one since we're only getting one new mount called the Ziliac ATV. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was actually data mined during the alpha of Battle for Azeroth, and now we're finally getting it in patch 8.2. Now the way you're gonna acquire this one is pretty interesting because it's split between two professions, blacksmithing and engineering. The blacksmiths will make the chassis while the engineers will make the engine, and combining the two will give you the mount, which is a pretty cool idea from Blizzard. The Wonder Wing 2.0 is a gorgeous mount that you'll be able to get by completing the second part of the Pathfinder achievement. This is probably gonna take you anywhere between 3 to 4 weeks to complete because you'll need to get reweird with 2 new factions in Makigon and NASH. Additionally, you will have to complete the first part of the Pathfinder achievement, which is already in the game, so you will have plenty of time to complete it before patch 8.2. Now if you want some extra guidance for the first part of the achievement, feel free to check out Wowhead's attunement tracker, and I will of course link it in the description below. Since we'll be able to unlock flying in patch 8.2, 6 new flying mounts are being added to the original factions in Battle for Azeroth. So the Horde will be getting 3 new Pterodactyl mounts and the Alliance will be getting 3 new Griffin mounts. So let's start off with the 3 new flying mounts for the Horde. The Captured Swampstalker you'll be able to purchase from Talanja's Expedition, the Valdunai Dunescraper is from the Valdunai Rep Vendor, and the Spectral Pterowing is from the Zandalari Empire. And yeah, these are the 3 new faction mounts for the Horde, and I especially like the Spectral one because believe it or not, I'm a huge fan of Spectral mounts. Now if you wear blue colors, meaning you are playing as an Alliance, you'll be getting 3 new Griffin mounts. The Stonesun Coastwatcher is from the Stone's Wake reputation, the Proudmost Sea Scout is from the Proudmost Morality reputation, and the Dusky Wakecrest Griffin is from the Orders of Ember's reputation. And even though we have a lot of Griffin mounts in the game, I still like these ones, especially the Proudmost Sea Scout, which looks really good. Now if you wanna buy one of these mounts, you will have to get exalted with the faction and pay 90,000 gold, which is quite a lot considering they are just recolors of already existing mounts. So hopefully they decide to lower the prices even though they've actually raised the prices since the first build of the PTR. So yeah, that's the new expensive faction mounts you can buy in patch 8.2. So with the last 3 mounts, I couldn't really decide which category to put them in, so I decided to place them in this category and call it Other Mounts. The Onyx War Hyena is listed to be a reward for winning a rated arena or a rated battleground, so it might be a freebie for your first win. Moving on, you can finally finish the How to Train Your Deerhorn achievement and get the Child of Torquali mount. This is the final reward from the Wander Not Alone questline, and if you are playing as an Alliance, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about because it's a Horde only questline. But for all of you Horde players out there, you will finally be able to see your baby grow up to be a mighty green Deerhorn. And lastly, we have the B mount that was data mined back during the Battle for Azeroth Alpha, and we're finally getting it in patch 8.2. The only problem is that we don't know 100% how we're gonna get it, because it's not listed inside of the mount journal, but Wowhead did manage to data mine some of the factions and some of the reputation tokens. So yeah, maybe this is a new Alliance faction, but if you want to read the article Wowhead posted, I will leave a link in the description below. The latest build on the PTR added 4 more spectral mounts, but unfortunately we don't know if we'll be able to get them or not, but the tooltip says something pretty interesting. Even the dead needs a lift every now and then, so we'll have to see if we can obtain them or not, but I sure do hope so because they look amazing. So yeah guys, these were the new mounts in patch 8.2 that we know of so far. I really hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful, and if you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more guides. Also feel free to let us know what kind of guides you want to see in the future. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video as well. See you next time.